Hello again, thanks for tuning in. I'm Nails, and this is the second episode for the Year of the Guitar, the September build. We're working on the beta guitar, which I think I'm going to call Bella. I think officially, I'm just going to call this guitar Bella. And so when we left off last time, what we had done was we hashed out a design and just roughly kind of put it on the guitar just to see what it looked like. Well, over the past week, I've done a little bit of work to it, and actually ended up having to do that whole process of putting it back on the guitar again so that I can move on from here. But I've still got a lot done, and I've got a lot of footage to show you of what I did and how I did it. So let's get to that. So as you can see, I'm breaking out a knife right now, and I am going to cut the outline of what I'm going to carve into the body. This helps prevent chip out and gives you a guide for your tools to follow. It's pretty helpful with both power tools and chisels. As far as what kind of knife you're using, it's not terribly important. It's nice to have a fancy carving knife, but you really just need something that's sharp enough to cut through the grain. As you can see, I'm struggling with a mosquito trying to attack me. Let's try not to swing at yourself when you have a sharp utensil in your hand. I've done smarter things. And here we go. I'm making my first attempt ever at freehand routing, and I gotta say, it was kind of sketchy at first. I just got this trim router from Harbor Freight for like 20 bucks. It was on sale. It was a pretty good deal. And like I said, at first it was really scary. I thought I was going to mess everything up, but then after I got a feel for how the tool cut and you know what it felt like and how to actually see what I was doing, things started moving along pretty swiftly. Alright, cool. I've successfully routed out a channel, and it looks good. I'm done. I'm going to call it a day. No, not really. I want to do a little bit more than that, so we're going to add some more depth to this design. And now we're going to add another layer. I was kind of going for a cartography look of, ocean depths and whatnot with this. I think it came out pretty good though. I guess there's no way around it. I mean, you gotta go in there and you gotta clean up your corners. I don't have any real fancy carving tools or anything like that. I have a pretty basic set of chisels, and then I have these little they're like stamp carving tools, I guess. You get them with like a rubber pad at the craft store or whatever, and you can make stamps with them. They don't work great for like big jobs, but for cleaning out corners, they're not horrible. This is also part of the job where I'm really glad that I cut my outline in already, because it makes this part so much easier. I had to do this on a bunch of other parts of the guitar, so I'm not going to bore you with that footage, but I'll cut to the second part of this. It's coming in there and cleaning things up with a file. I bought this small set of like micro files at Harbor Freight. They don't tend to last very long, but I mean, they do their job and they're a couple bucks. And then of course, sandpaper. It's now part of my life, I guess. hate sanding so much. So the resin that I'm going to put in here isn't going to be clear. It's going to have a little bit of an opaque pigment in there. So I'm going to come in and I am going to paint those different levels different colors to just kind of drive it home that there is that extra element of depth there. You won't be able to see the detail really well, but it'll come across once everything's all together. So that's the basic idea of the painting that I needed to do for this. I'm just going to show you this one section of it, and then we'll magically cut to what it looks like when it's all said and done. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how it came out. So here's a neat little trick. Adhesives don't tend to stick to each other. So, when you that's why you have to clear out glue before you put on more glue. So you can actually use tape, as long as you can get it to burnish it down really well. You can use tape as a outer border when pouring small amounts of resins. Now I will say, as far as working with resin, I have a little bit of experience with it, and there are a bunch of different kinds of resin, and they all work in different ways, and they tend to get hot when they cure. So you don't want to go overboard and use like a deep pour when you're only doing something that's like a half-inch deep. Like in this case, I think the deepest part of my pour is like 3/8 of an inch. So I just went with some real basic, craft jewelry resin. It dries real clear. It's not the hardest stuff in the world, but I'm not. It's harder than the wood anyway. So, and it tends to cure pretty quick. It doesn't take days. It takes about 8 hours before you can sand it. So basically what I'm saying is you just kind of want to know what kind of resin you're using and use it appropriately. So this is what I was talking about with the opaque pigment in the resin. It's like a sparkly light blue that I chose for this. And it was literally just 2 drops of acrylic paint. If you end up putting too much acrylic paint as a pigment into resin, it can get kind of dicey as far as how it cures, because one thing about resin is you want to take water out of the equation. So I think this may have been my favorite part of the work that I've done to date on this. I really love my block plane a lot, and it makes the funniest sound when you do it in high speed. The one that I'm using in my hand right now is more than 100 years old. I mean, they're just a great tool. One thing that I did on this that there's people that might disagree about is that I did use my block plane on my resin. It works. It's not great for your blades, but I sharpen my blades pretty regularly anyway. And now it is time to sand. I have a lot of uneven surfaces around the edges of the resin, and I gotta get this comfort carve squared away. You'll notice that there's still sound going on when I'm sanding. I promise it won't go long, but it is simply for this. Alright. Yeah, that's a freaking adorable sound. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure that all the high spots from the resin were gone, and you know, got a flat guitar face. Kind of important. And here you thought I was done sanding after that clip. Nope, gotta do it by hand. A lot of sharp edges that have to go, and you know, there's also resin slop all along the outside of the edge where the tape failed in that corner. I mean, it worked for every other part. It was just that little compound curve inside that caused problems, as compound curves tend to do. Okay, so that's where we're at. We routed out some wood, painted a little bit, got some resin in there, put some carving on the outside edges, a little bit of comfort carve and contours, and I had to put the fish back on because I sanded it off because I did a lot of sanding too. So, it seems like a lot of work to do just to get some hazy resin looking stream going on here, but once we actually do all the final sanding and everything and polishing, all that haze is going to go away, and you're going to get to see what I put all that effort into, and it's going to look really cool. So, that was a lot. So, if you made it this far into the video, why don't you go ahead and hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe too. I mean, I'm going to be doing 9 more of these guitars, so I'm definitely going to have some content out there. If you want to get notified about that content real time, there's a little bell button next to the subscribe button. You can get that situated if you want. All that great YouTube stuff that I feel like I'm obligated to say. I don't know. Anyway, so that is going to conclude Craft Time with Nails. And I'm going to get another video in next week. And it's going to have to be pretty darn close to done because we're coming up hot on the end of September and I still have an October build to do. So, yeah, in the next week I have to paint it and put the bridge on, which I'm probably not going to do in that order. I think I'm going to put the bridge on before I paint. And then I have to get some finishing on it, I have to do electronics, I have to get the neck situated and put on. I have a lot to do. It's not completely out of reach, so the next video I'll probably be showing you something that's pretty darn close to done. So, that being said, I am going to go get a beverage because it is my day off, and I just want a rum and coke. Anyway, take it easy, have a good one.